Hi everyone, so welcome to the lecture where I'll explain my whole trade of CPPLUS which I took on 24th March and exited on June 19th and was able to generate 100% returns in this single stock, and it was approx 3.5 months of time. So let's get through this and in detail that where did I take the trade at these levels and when did I, and we'll go on the monthly, weekly. We'll have some trend time frames and everything through this video. Okay, so before that I need to tell you one thing, that this is the premium equity group which was before the premium group, but now it has been converted into an academy. I've shared after taking the trade on March 27 only, as you can see. So we'll discuss about this in detail. Okay, so let's just go straight into it. Okay, so let's first go on the monthly. Okay, so let's first, what I will do, let's do one thing, that I'll go to the replay bar and let's go sometime back at the moment when it arrived into my watch list. Okay, so I'll just remove this. Okay, so over these levels, I was tracking it and it arrived into my watch list. As you can see on the chart right now, I have only volumes as my indicator and the turnover display as my indicator. So what is, we can see the turnover is right now not well. It is at 48 crores. It is not even less liquid, but not even a very good liquidity stock. So let's just write over here. Let's just first go on the monthly and then analyze it monthly. So as on the monthly, we don't have much data. Okay, but we know that here's a pivot zone which has been created. We don't have EMA data, as well as the 10 months are not even completed yet, and it is a recent IPO stock which was launched on 1st August 25. Okay, near in August 2025. Okay, so at these levels it came into my watch list, and as we can see from the monthly time frame, it looks pretty good. But if you had to mark a pivot zone, you would mark something over these levels. Okay, and something over these levels as well. And one more thing to go to, that the IPO has opened up at 1012 level and the high was made at 1700 levels. That means 70% of returns were there in the first rally, which was the initial rally of the stock only. Okay, so we now know that we cannot conclude much from this trade, but we can conclude one things from the monthly, that the quality of candles are great. 20% candles, okay, 4% candles over here, 16%, 22% candles, not great. 50-60% candles on a monthly. 15 to 25% of the candles, we can write 15 to 25% candles, quality candles, and we can write don't have much data, but a 70% rally was there. Okay, so now we know for the monthly that a 70% rally was there before on the monthly. We don't have much data on the monthly, but we now know that there was a pivot zone created, as this the sellers have tried to push it down and then it has consolidated a little bit, then moved up again, and a bar like this happening right over at these levels. Okay, and basically 2nd of March of this. So let's just go through now from the weekly perspective. I'll just first download it and save it. Now from the weekly perspective, we know that there is good liquidity. The turnover is of the 20 last candles is 236 crores. That is and that is average. That is very good, looking nice. And through the weekly, we can have some if we go to the candles and look at it, we know that it has good 28% of candles, which was not even on the monthly. 16% candles, okay, 12% candles, okay, over here 16, 28. So we can conclude from the weekly that there is we are not in a stage 2, as we can see. So stage 1, if we go above these levels, it will be basically stage 1 to stage 2. So let's and it should be a good percentage returns before we conclude that we are finally in a stage 2, minimum 10 to 15% to 20% of the return. So we weekly trying to advance into stage 2 and good quality candles, that is 15 to 30%. Okay, so we know that when there was a resistance created from this level, absolutely the high was also created from these levels. Okay, so high was also created and it tried to break in, but we know that the weekly, if we can see from the weekly, it is 14% away, so it's a little away to have a good breakout. Okay, and it then went down only, and then there is a good candle from over here when it was a part of our watch list. So from this time frame we can conclude that okay, it is in an uptrend, but right now it is in a sideways momentum. So we can write over here that sideways to uptrend momentum. And one thing that it is our TTF, so weekly, basically a 10 time frame. Okay, and weekly, monthly looking like a trend time frame. So this is our basically a trend time frame. We see the candles being good. We see that the now EMA of 10 is very nice, up above 20, and it hasn't breached its 20 yet. So this is also a very good sign of a trade. And we also will see one thing, that over at these levels there was no volumes, and then when this move came of 34%, this move was also their recent IPO move of 44%, and then this move of 30%. So we can also say from over here that momentum moves are generally from 30 to 45%. Okay, so basically 3 to 4 candles of moves, as we can see on the weekly. Okay, so that means 1 month moves are consistent over at these levels. Okay, so we can conclude from the weekly these things, and we now know that there are good quality candles. It is looking good on the weekly, but what is the main thing that we yet have to see, that before it crosses these levels, we cannot know that it will go in a next rally. Okay, so we cannot predict that right now. Okay, it is looking like a inside bar. If we just mark the highs of these and the low of these, we know that this is an inside bar, but we know that I think it needs some more consolidation before having an up move, or even the EMA should be close to the highs. Okay, so by this I knew for the weekly and monthly I have made this. So let's now go to the setup time frame, which was daily. I'll just save this. Okay, so now we're on the daily time frame. Let's remove this. Now from the daily we have more clarity, and we can see that from the daily perspective we have a uptrend, a very good uptrend, but the contraction, but a uptrend which is contracting. Okay, so right now over here we now know that there was a low at these levels. Okay, then there was a low at this level, then a low was made from these levels, and now a low is over here. Okay, now a low is over here. I'll just mark it. It is coming to its 50, and here it was below its 50. Here also it was below its 50. The low was here also below its 50, and here as well we don't know about the 50 because it hasn't been made yet. Okay, so now from the daily, let's do the DNA, the STF, that is daily. We know that okay, it is in a sideways uptrend, looking in a sideways uptrend only, sideways uptrend. Okay, we know that the highs have the lows has been made, but the lows are only highs, okay, not very nice highs, not a highs like these ones, but highs like these. Okay, so we know by this that okay, a small VCP creation is there, not a very good one, but still we can conclude that a sideways uptrend. We are looking at it with contracting higher. Okay, we now know that it is contracting higher. We can also know one thing, that the support zones are near 50. Okay, 50 EMA. Let's just write this. The support zones are also near 50 EMA or below that, even below that. And we can know that it is also near 50 and it has still some potential to come. But we know that the first, when it was a first consolidation from these levels, this was a high made, and then from over here a very strong downside came because there was very good volumes. Let's just calculate the momentum. If there are any good candles, is 10% candles, 9%, 6% candles, 4% candles. Okay, so it has very good candles as well. So we write over here good quality of candles to look at. And then there are, we can see that there are straightforward contractions, straight contractions, straight contractions, straight contractions, no green candles at all, straight contractions. Okay, the up moves to be like 35% of the up moves, 18%, okay, 36%. And we can also see at the liquidity that it is of the last 20 crores, it is 48 crores. Okay, it is for the last 20 days, it is 48 crores. So we can write that there is medium liquidity, decent. Okay, so we can write that it is basically in the decent portion. And now we know that there are okay, great moves have come, so it has potential to go higher. And on the monthly, we know that it is not giving much. On the weekly also, we have calculated that it is near the EMAs, and the EMAs being above the previous one, above the big one. Okay, and from 10 EMA as well, we can now know that okay, 10 is above 20, 20 is above 50. Okay, and we know that the first down move was absolutely 22% down move. Okay, so this will not be a down move because then it did not went up. Okay, and so I've calculated this as a up move, direct up move. So that is basically of 22%, as we can see. Now from over here, we can also calculate one thing, that it made a high at these levels. Okay, a strong high after a very good volume from over here, tried to break out, but a strong high at these levels. So have a 14% move from these levels to be precise. Okay, 14% moves from over here. Then if we go further, okay, let's go further at these points. Let's just calculate a move. So by now we don't know that whether to add here or not, because the supports we see that are below 10 EMAs. So we don't know that it can come to these levels, because we don't know that this is a very great pivot zone, because a higher move hasn't been there. I've just marked it. Okay, so 11% moves. So let's go 1 or 2 candles ahead to have some clarity, because at this point we don't have much clarity. We know that the stock is very good and it is in a prior uptrend, and I think it should consolidate. Okay, consolidate right now before at near the EMAs, before having a very nice up move. Okay, so let's just go. Okay, so you can see the next move came, and we can see widely that it is a very good hammer candle with having 50 EMA as a support, with also having volumes. If you calculate that on this day, it had how much? It had 46 crores of turnover and great amount of volumes, that was 300k, and far better than the previous months. Okay, so this is a sign of a great buying pressure on these candles, as we can see that the sellers tried to push it through this, but the buyers have pushed it way up, okay, way up the open as well. So, but what do you see from over here? What you can imagine from these levels, that there is need some consolidation at these levels, okay. Some consolidation is needed before any breakout. Some consolidation or something is needed near the highs and to make it a very good pattern. So we can conclude from over as well that 12% down move was from highs as well. So there are three down moves, and we can see one more thing, that the three down moves are getting contracted: 22%, 14%, and 12%. And all three are near the 50 EMAs. Okay, as we have wrote, the support zones are near 50. We can see the support zones are very near 50 EMAs. So let's, I was waiting. Okay, to be honest, I have marked the highs of this to have a breakout, okay, like this, to have a breakout and have a good opportunity and have some amount of 17% returns. But I saw something else in this. Why? Because we see on the monthly and weekly there were very nice things, okay, happening. So I wanted, for to be honest, I wanted some consolidation at these levels, for first at these levels, then somewhat higher, okay. And it also need a pullback. Well, let's see what happens. So one by one, okay. So as I wanted, so there were 10 coming back, 10 going down. Basically, we see from over here that this candle had let the 10 go down and the 20 have flattened with 50 going up, okay. So this candle let the 10 go down, and then these two candles is letting the 10 being flat, okay. So now what we can see, that the 10 is above 20 and it is above 50 as well. Okay, so the next two candles, we can see that the contraction is very nice. Okay, we can see that the highs of this, the stock is trading between under these highs. Okay, we can see very clearly that it is near the highs, and as we wanted, a lower contraction has been made. A candle contraction is also there. The price is always closing near 10 and 20s here, near 10s, near 20s, and near 10s, and the movement is also getting lower and lower. Okay, so we can see that the first time the movement was of, let's remove this, the first time the movement was of 5%, the second time it was of 4%, the third time it was of 2.8%, and the fourth time as well it was of 2.45%. So we see that the movements are getting contracted. Okay, as discussed in the VCP pattern in the lectures, the movements are getting contracted and contracted. It is closing near the 10s and 20s and widely respecting the highs of this bar, which was which had a very nice volumes. Okay, so let's just look into what happened. I had marked these levels as a breakout. So if it gives a breakout, and on the hourly, we'll discuss on the hourly, that if the hourly there will be hourly, because with the STF being daily, I have marked the entry time frame being hourly and 15 minutes, because in the 15 minutes and the hourly, we see that, okay, so in the 15 minutes and on the hourly, we know that there was this is a setup time frame and the trade can't be obviously executed. So the STF being daily, let's first move more ahead, and then we'll calculate that what can happen. Okay. Okay, so a very nice candle is there. To be honest, I wasn't attentive at these points and I missed this move of 5%, which was on 18%. And if I wanted to trade here, I could do it very easily, because on the hourly, let's go on the hourly. If we go on the hourly as well, we know that the 50 was up, the 20 was down, and the 10 is down. So if for the academy people, we know that we don't trade any stocks on 1 hourly or on the ETF as well. If they are below 50, we don't trade them, we don't add them below 50 ever. Okay, so That's a rule. Okay, and these blue lines are basically session breaks. So I'm just telling you guys. So over here, what did this candle do? That if you on the 15 minutes, okay, on the 18th March, okay, on the 18th March, if you go on the 15 minutes, that what is happening, that this candle did what? Uh, till over here, we see that the 15 was below, and at these levels, these candles did what? It made 10 above. 20 and 50, and this candle made 10, 20 and 50 with a very good up move. Okay, with a very good up move. And to see on the daily, that on the daily as well, the 10 was looking good, the 20 is looking good, the 50 is looking good, and if we see, the 10 is just 3% away. So if someone would have added, I think at these levels on the 15 minutes, at these levels, if someone would have added 1661, okay, let's calculate through 1661 as well. If someone would have added, it would be a 1.6% move away from the EMA only, and a stop loss would be a good 5%. Okay, so it would be, if someone wanted a day stop loss, that is less risk, that is more risky, so it would be 4%. But to keep it safe, I planned it this, but I wasn't able to take this trade, to be honest. Okay, so we know that we keep moves good, we keep stop losses according to the ADR. So I missed this move. So let's see what now. So I was very attentive, and you know that what would happen. What would you imagine? Let's go on the weekly. Okay, let's first have this downloaded with me, and then okay, so now I'll delete this. Let's go on the weekly. Okay, so on the weekly, do you have, you will only imagine this, that you need a breakout of this and then you will enter. Okay, but what exactly, that is there some consolidation needed at these points? Still some consolidation needed. Still it is very far away from 10. Okay, as we can see right now, and okay, it is 6% far from 10, and the breakout is 10%. So I think there is still some up move needed, okay, before having some entry. But to would have entered, if you would have wanted to enter over here, this would be very nice. Okay, so let's just go some next. Okay. Okay, so this something like this happened. Okay, the next day. Okay, okay, so what happened basically, that I did not imagine this to happen, but what happened, that on the weekly, if let's go on the weekly now, it has given a breakout of this point, but the stock is way above the weekly EMA. Okay, and the breakout is also way above. So there's some consolidation being needed more, and the 10 EMA to have a contraction more before we have a very good up move. So let's look at the daily again. So I was seeing some contraction over here till these points. Okay, so there was I marked this point as a pivot point, a very strong pivot point, because from here only the rally came and a move was something of around 11%. So let's have a look at it, and I was waiting for some consolidation, or if there it would not be, I would just skip this trade if it would go straight, because it wouldn't be the favor of my risk reward, even if it looks the best. Okay, so now next candle being red, and this would have happened. This did what? Did the EMA being from 10, being from rising to directly flattened, because this is a very 5% negative candle, as we can see over here as well. It has done the same. So we are expecting, I was expecting some more consolidation before I take a very strong entry. Okay. Okay. So from these levels, we can see what? I can see what, that this was a candle of a contraction. Okay, this was a start of a new week, and on the Monday there was some contraction. People were expecting, okay, that there will be a breakout, we'll buy over here, but No, it won't happen. You don't know the concepts of relativity. Okay, so we know from these levels that now, okay, the prices have started to contract more. People would do that, this they would mark the highs of this, they would mark the highs of this by at these levels. So that is just being foolish. Okay, so we now know that, okay, something like this is happening. The price is 4% away from the 10 EMA, and I'm talking this on the weekly. Okay, so let's just go on the daily now. Now what is happening over here? Something, let's just go on the hourly. Okay, so we now know on the hourly that the 10 is above 50, but the 20 is above 10. And I don't want that. Okay, we don't trade that like that. And if we go on the next, and on the 15 minutes, let's see as well that we know, okay, the 50 is above 20. So we don't want that either. Okay, so 15-minute and 1 hourly was my good setup frames. As just ignore the blue lines because it is a part of a session breaks that helps me to identify sessions. So this was a contraction happening, a very good contraction happening, as we can see. And then we know that there is again a contraction happened with the low of this. I'll just remove the session breaks. Okay, there's again a contraction happened from over these levels, and there was a 6% contraction. So if you guys know about the VCP patterns, which was a trade which was told about in the lectures, you know that the VCP patterns has some T's, and we know that it is getting contracted, and when there is a single figure more than less than 7 to 8%, we know that is the last one. Okay, so we now know that it was a 6%. Okay, and I was ready to have a trade because what happened that this candle made the 10 up, made the 20 up, and made the 50 up as well. Okay, it was already 50 was up, but 50, as if you can see, had taken a turn to the flat, and then it made up because you can see that there were sellers of this fighting to go down, but the buyers were still strong of these points, that the buying pressure was much higher at these moments. So I just wanted to have a good breakout with some relative volume. So I'll just add the relative volume indicator right now as well. Okay. So on the 5-minute time frame, okay. So on the 5-minute time frame, let's go through 15 minutes. Okay, and I had my opportunity ready because we can see that on the daily it has contracted much. The 10 EMA is very near. Okay, as the 10 EMA was near over these levels as well, but it did not contract much. The 10 EMA is very near, and from these levels, you must say that from these levels, why didn't this consolidation happen right over here? Because this candle has done the expansion way more, that the 10 EMA was 9% away. Okay, the 10 EMA was 9% away from the prices, and then it had to go down, and the 10 EMA was now only 1% away. And you see the contractions was happening. It closed very near the 10 EMA. Okay, you see it closed 0.8% near the 10 EMA. It closed 0.9% near the 10 EMA. So it was looking very nice. And then on the 15-minute time frame, on the daily, it was, I wanted that to have 20 above 50 and 10 above all of them as well. So let's just go. Okay, so we have opened very well on these levels, and you can see on the first 15 minutes there was how much volume? 15% of the average volumes. And if we go on the daily time frame now, right now, we know that, okay, this happened in the first 15 minutes, something like this happened, and we know that by the recent terms, we know that there was no very good volumes except these four. There was no very nice volumes, and just 40-50% of the average ones. So let's go in the 15 minutes back. Let's have this. Okay, so what happened? Okay, on 15 minutes, what happened right over here? That on the 1 hour, on the 1 hour, what happened? That this candle, that if I apply the session breaks, my entry was exactly at over this candle. Why? because this candle made the 10 above 20 and above 50. And you can see now that over from these levels there was contraction, and the contraction was getting smaller, and I was expecting it to go near the breakout, and then finally it was very near the breakout, and I made an entry at 1695. I remember it. So let's go on the daily. I made an entry at 1695. Okay, at 1695, having a stop loss of absolutely 4%, which was this as my stop loss, 4%. Then having this, and on the same day, if you just look at it now, okay, so on the same day, you can see that after the first 30 minutes, it went higher and higher. Okay, so we can see that what happened on this day, it basically had a very good breakout, and we were able to catch it at these levels. And because I was attentive, I would have caught it at these levels as well, but I wasn't attentive at this moment and I missed it. So you'll have to be clearly aware of the alerts as well, and I did not put alert over here. I have put an alert over at these levels at the highs of this, and when this breached, I was into it at the exact moment because I have everything written which I took the screenshot, so I was very highly convicted. And I'll just tell you that how did I calculate my position size according to the setup time frame. For example, to be honest, 15 lakh is my capital. Okay, my entry price was over 1695, as we just discussed. It was 1695. So I have, this is my website where I have made a position size calculator according to everything. Entry price was 1695. Okay, the stop loss price was this 1624. Okay, so I just assume it at 1620. Then the 10 EMA value, which was around 1686 on the setup time frame. I'm talking about the setup time frame only. 1674. Okay, so 1674. Okay, so and I over here I forgot to tell you guys one thing, that which this indicator is, that in this indicator we know that this is basically electrical appliances. So by now this indicator tells us, it fetches the automatic, it automatically, it also it is also telling us right now that okay, it is relatively higher than, as we know, at these cases the Nifty was falling. Okay, Nifty was falling, Nifty 500 was falling well, and all the sectors were falling, and above the sector it was 10. So at this point I had some market conviction of only 5 on 10. Okay, and a sector conviction of only 6 on 10, with a setup conviction of 8 on 10. Why? Because no setup was absolutely good looking, but this was looking good, so I had some doubts. So that's why some 8 of 10. The sector was looking good, it was high, it was just below the 10, 20, 50. That's why I have given it only 6 on 10, and the market conviction was only 5 on 10 for me, because the markets were going down, everything was going down, but still we did managed to have a good breakout. Okay, so let's just go on the 1 day now, and okay, we can see from over here that what happened. Let's just look into it. Okay, I'll remove this indicator as well. Okay, so let's just resume it and just, okay, so it was very quick. So okay, we know that at these levels what would have happened, the EMA is now widely above. It was 8%, so it needed some consolidation, and exact something happened. People would have entered over here as well, but I did not, because I was already in 24% of my position size, that was 218 shares. Okay, so I that is, if it's this type of number comes, I only invest 200 shares, the nearest one. Okay, so I had invested 200 shares, and my risk amount was basically 13,000 rupees at that moment. And then I was trying to enter it here as well, but I did not, because the markets were very volatile, they were only being consolidated. And then what happened? Okay, so a good rally happened. From 1695, I was already up 40% at the moment. My the 3,50,000 were almost 5 lakhs only, 5,50,000, and it was scaling my capital up very quick. Okay, so then I was waiting for having some consolidation, because on the weekly, if you calculate, it is very up. Okay, it is 18% up, and we can see that on the weekly we calculated that only there are 30 to 45% of the moves, and we can see that there were already very nice moves. Okay, from over here if we calculate 34%, and only 10% of the moves were left. Okay, so let's just go through it on the daily. Okay, okay, so it was going up, way up. I was not touching it or something because it was just performing very well. Okay, so right now if you can see that a red candle is over here, and it tried to breach this level as well and had to grab some liquidity, and you can see there is some consolidation like this which did not happen. Okay, and you can see on the weekly as well that how much returns were there, 45%. So we on the weekly, what did we write? If you go back, that 30 to 45% returns at max were there. So 45% returns was already there. I was out 30% of my quantity at these levels. Okay, at, if I being honest, at these levels I was out because I was expecting some downside momentum, and some momentum because it was a straight momentum on the downside. So I was expecting some downside over the 10 and over the 20s. Okay, so that's why I exited around 30% over here, but I was waiting for it to close below 20. Okay, then what happened? A good candle came, a good candle came again. Okay, so absolutely, till we can see from over here, I was highly convicted that this is a very strong stock, and news came in just the April that all the CCTV cameras of China's are banned, and this is a very good stock, a very good fundamental stock. Okay, you can see the fundamentals of this, and now you know that after a weekly 45% move, I was convicted that a great move can come from over here as well. As we know that this was a sign of my selling. Okay, I wanted to sell all if it goes below these levels, but it did not. And then what happened, it eventually was consolidating. Okay, and from over here we can see that there was a very nice candle which came. Okay, there was a very nice candle which came at these levels as well, and the price did not go below 20. What it did, that it moved the 10 and 20 from rising to flat to downtrend. Okay, and it is basically downtrend only right now, and this was the day when I entered more. Why? I'll just tell you, because if let's go back first, let's mark these levels, that this was the high marked by me because I was expecting some consolidation from over here. But we look on the weekly, what happened. Okay, so there were great moves of 30-40% previously as well. Okay, 45%, and the great move happened from over here as well of 46%. So near only 50-60% are only closer. And then what happened, that for 3 weeks it consolidated very well. Okay, for 3 weeks it consolidated well. The EMA was back, which was 25% away, was now only 13% away. Okay, 12% away at these levels. So I was expecting that there can be some higher momentum again, and then it might drop off. So on the daily, what happened, that first I'll just mark my first entry point, that was 1695 basically, and then I entered again at these levels, because let's just go to the 15 minutes back. Okay, there are session breaks, and now what happened on the daily, that on the 9:15, if I'll just add the R volume indicator, on the 9:15 for the first 15 minutes there were 35% of the average volumes. Okay, so that was great. And we see on the daily as well, the EMA was well above these levels. The EMA was well near the contraction, and I did not, I could add over here as well, but there would be very big stop loss as well. There was a very big stop loss of 7-8% as well. From, if we look at my entry point, my entry point was somewhere at 24545. Okay, it was somewhere here as well. But and if I go on the entry time frame, go on the stop loss, my stop loss was 9%. But why did I have a 9% stop loss? Because I was already a 50% in the stock, okay, through my daily. So I could risk those capital, and the profits which were taken out, those were reinvested with more 10%. I just assumed 10% more because a lot of capital was already in mate. Okay, so at this moment 45% of my capital was in CP plus, and then I entered at these levels on the 15-minute time frame because the volume came, and you can see that over here as well that 50 is below, the 20 is at the top, and the 10 is below. So that's our not rule to enter. And this candle did what? Had so much volumes and did the same thing within very near the breakout. And you can look at it exactly what happened. If I just go to the daily, okay. Okay, so on this candle, I did what? I had done my stop loss to this day low only of 4%, and this was my overall stop loss now. So this and this including was my overall stop loss, and my average was, I think, about at 19 to 1950, and then 41% gains I had. Okay, then some momentum was coming over. Okay, the momentum was coming, and weekly it was not looking good at all, to be honest. I was just wanted to exit the stock because there were great volumes, but from over here 50% moves again. Okay, so I just wanted to exit at this moment. And if on the daily, let's calculate that. Okay, till here I have decided that I would exit it because there were 100% moves already. Okay, and I exactly exited at these levels. Okay, I exactly exited these levels because it was way near 10, and I was just in a thought that on the weekly it pretty sure needs some consolidation and has to come back to the levels of 3100, 3200. And you can see that what happened on the weekly. Okay, okay, so you can see that what happened on the weekly now. It is just getting consolidated and coming down. Okay, and from over here on CP plus, I entered at these levels, exited at these levels, having 101%, 102% roughly of the gains, and having to exit all of them at these levels. Okay. Okay, so on this day I bought, and here I exited. And if you look at it on the weekly now, it is over here, it is looking good. I'll not have a buy sell recommendation, but if you just mark the highs of it, it had tried to have a breakout on this day. Okay, and I'm watching this, but I feel like on the daily, I did not enter at this, and the fall came like this. On the weekly too, it will happen something like this. On the monthly, it is looking very extended. So I'm not on the focus of the stock. I will wait for the weekly to have some consolidation and wait to have 20 EMA near the price. This was a CP plus trade explained, where we have talked about some contraction. We talked about the two entry points which I took, and I have averaged it up well, but and re-entered. And to calculate the position size, you can go to the academy website, and you can easily click at the MMA position size calculator, and then you'll have it. And it is basically depends on the conviction and the EMA risk. Okay, so it will calculate your just place the inputs over here. It will calculate everything. Okay, and about the sectoral indicator, it is only for the academy people. So, and I have some scans as well. I'll drop a scanner as well in the description. And this was a very good trade. You learn how to practice on monthly, on weekly, on daily, and you learn how to watch charts in real time, because I haven't explained it through this. I've explained it through this replay mode. Okay, and let's just go on the scans dashboard. I'll drop some scans as well. So this is my This is my YouTube channel, so you can subscribe for more. And I have a Twitter as well, so I'll drop all the links down, and you can subscribe to my Instagram as well. Thank you everyone for watching this, and I hope you have learned this. If you have any doubts, go down and comment. And if you want to learn more about this in the deep and learn the concepts from scratch, you can go to my academy and enroll from over here. Thank you everyone for watching. I'll meet you in the next video.